Welcome to the Week in Gear, the show in which I rank the best guitar stuff released in the last 7 days, all the way up to my pick of the week. So, if you, like me, are a gear addict, make sure to subscribe. What a week for us gear freaks and geeks. Every week that I make this show, I wonder, when will the time come that I have no new releases to talk about? Well, it certainly isn't this week. There's loads. In fact, we have new amps, a new plugin, a new pedal, new guitars. But before we get to that new stuff, let's talk about old stuff from this week's sponsor, guitar auctions at Gardner Holgate. Have you ever dreamed about owning a vintage guitar? Well, the beautiful people at guitarauctions.co.uk have some very interesting items up for auction, as always. Included in the June catalogue is this Fender Esquire from 1963, estimated to go for between £6,000 and £8,000. And if that's a little bit out of reach, how about this 1960s Futurama 2, which has a starting price of only £100? It's not just guitars, there's also pedals, amps, and more in this 3-day auction starting on the 14th of June. But if you don't live in the UK, don't worry, you can bid online and Gardner Holgate will assist you with the shipping. So, if you want to go down a gear rabbit hole, have a look at the catalogue, register to bid at the link in the video description. I'm going to be watching the auction live, and you can too at guitar-auctions.co.uk. In at number 5 this week is the Infinite Mini Sample Sustainer from TC Electronic. This is an ambient, atmospheric kind of pedal that is kind of like a looper, except that it plays a short sample of your sound backwards and forwards at the same time. You can also edit the reverb and modulation using the Tone Print app, and this gives you a sort of soft pad organ-like music to play over. In shrinking the pedal, we've lost a few functions of its bigger brother, but this comes in at around €40 cheaper at around €119. And it takes up less space on your pedal board. Fans of Pink Floyd will probably enjoy this because that's the first band that came to mind when I heard the demo video. And I think this is a smart move by TC because by making the pedal smaller and cheaper, I think more of us will be tempted to add it to our boards and experiment with what it offers. However, if you are deeply into ambient music, then you might want to go for the original, which does, of course, offer more functionality. At number 4 is an amp, a small amp. An amp that might look somewhat familiar. The Mooer SD30i is a small digital. Is that what SD stands for? The Mooer SD30i is a small digital modeling amp that packs a bunch of features into a small space and delivers 30 watts of power through 2 4-inch FR speakers. It's got, deep breath, 52 amp models, 25 cab sims, 126 effects, 40 drum machine varieties, 10 metronomes, an 80-second looper, wireless foot switch control, Bluetooth for streaming audio, an OTG audio interface, iOS app, and a 5-hour rechargeable battery. Whew, this is clearly in direct competition with the Positive Grid Spark, which I have and I love and use almost daily. The Spark is around €259 at the moment because it's always on some kind of sale, whereas the Mooer SD30i is €289, a little bit more expensive currently. The Mooer has a few advantages over the Spark, namely the battery and the inbuilt looper, but the Spark seems to have a few more tones available in the app. That will probably change in the future, however. For me, if the Mooer sounds as good as the Positive Grid, the battery and the inbuilt looper may just give it the edge. Fender are back with another release this week, the new John 5 signature series, The Ghost. This is one of the most stunning variations on the Telecaster I have ever seen. Inspired by the guitar that Fender made with skate brand Supreme, John 5 has been road testing it for a year, and it's now officially released. It's got an older body with an Arctic white finish and red binding, a John 5 custom neck profile with a 9.5-inch radius fingerboard that is also white. There's a one-piece pickguard, which I have never seen before. I'm massively into tellies, and never before have I seen one pickguard that just covers the whole body. let me know if you've seen something in the comments, of course. It's got a 3-way toggle switch, master volume, and an arcade button kill switch. Interestingly, in the release video, John 5 says the pickups are 𝗬𝗎𝗪𝗔𝗡 Super Distortions, but the Fender website lists them as 𝗬𝗎𝗪𝗔𝗡 deactivators. So someone is a little bit mixed up there. Or maybe they made a change since the release of the video and the actual release of the guitar. Who knows? Probably Fender. If you want it, it'll set you back around $3,000, but it does come with a glorious hard case. I think everything about this guitar is going to absolutely infuriate Telecaster purists, and I've seen some of that already online. But I see this as a custom Telecaster that is built for the future and shows how far that classic design can be pushed while still staying a Telecaster. The price of around $3,000 is going to be prohibitive for most players, but if you want that look and those features, this is one of the only places to go. However, I would love to have a bash at building something similar myself. An all-white parts caster with red binding and red bits all over it sounds like a really fun project. In at number 2, Neural DSP have teamed up with one of my favorite riffmeisters, Tom Morello, for the new Archetype plugin. At the heart of the plugin is a modeled version of Tom's 50-watt Marshall JCM 800. Effects-wise, you get a dive bomb, a whammy, a wah, delay, EQ, and phaser, amongst others. The plugin will run as a standalone piece of software and a 64-bit plugin for most DAWs. It will also work on Mac or PC. It's about $119, but there is a free 14-day trial available. It looks like a lot of fun. I love the way Tom Morello integrates his effects with his playing. You can't take one out without taking the other one out. And his playing style and this plugin together seems to work very well. And it gives you everything you need to emulate one of my favorite players' sound. On the other hand, you could possibly achieve similar results with other bits of software you may already own. But Neural DSP has a great reputation for high-quality sounds. Neural DSP do not have a great reputation for keeping your data safe, though. So I hope they manage to fix and gloss over that as soon as possible. I downloaded the trial and had a go, and it's a lot of fun, but to take full advantage of the effects, you'll also need some kind of expression pedal controller. So this does push the price up if you don't already own one. If you're a fan of Tom Morello or Rage Against the Machine or Audioslave or any of his other projects, you should probably download the 14-day trial and see for yourself. As well as all the gear I talk about, there is of course a link in the video description. In at number 1, my pick of the week is from Blackstar. It's the new Toby Lee St. James TL50 6L6. Now, I play the St. James EL34 in my band, and it is phenomenal, as is the standard 6L6 version. But this special Toby Lee Signature Edition is red. The St. James series of amps are the lightest 50-watt tube amps currently available, and they are ridiculously light. I like giving my cab and my head to people when I gig and practice and say, look, try this out, it's ridiculously light. And they always smile and say, wow, that is ridiculously light. Toby's amp has 2 ECC83 preamp valves, which are the same as 12 AX7s for my American friends. And no surprise, the power amp features 6 L6s. The amp is not just a light valve amp, however, it also has a USB audio out for recording and Blackstar's cab rig technology with an XLR socket for sending cab simulated outs direct to the mixing desk or to an audio interface for recording. Now, onto the pricing. With the other regular St. James stuff, you can get a combo or a cab and a head, and you can buy that in any combination that you want. However, with Toby Lee's signature stuff, it only comes as a set, the head and the cab together. And it's got a suggested price of €1,849, but I expect retailers to list it probably a little bit cheaper. Other than the price, the only other differences between this and the standard 6L6 St. James are cosmetic. Functionally, they are the same amp, but this one is red with chicken head knobs and white piping. And yeah, it almost does feel like a bit of a cop-out having a cosmetic upgrade as my pick of the week. But I love the St. James amps from Blackstar. I think they need more screen time. I met Toby also about 4 years ago at NAMM, and it is great to see him absolutely soaring. And his choice of colors and amp are spot on here. It's going to do him well in his blues rock sort of genre. Besides, this is my show, my rules. A big thanks once again to this week's sponsor, Guitar Auctions. There's a link to them in the video description, as well as links to all the stuff I talked about in this video. But before I leave you, some friends of mine have released a new single and accompanying video, so I thought I'd give them a shout out, and there is a link to that video below this video also. If you enjoyed this and want to be kept up to date on all new guitar gear, go ahead and click there to subscribe, and I will see you next time.